Oh hi, thanks for watching my video. So I've mentioned before that I recently reinstalled The Sims 2 and it's got me all nostalgic and it's making me miss the amount of detail and effort that was put into The Sims stories and relationships with others. So I've started a little series whereby we put the characters from The Sims 2 into The Sims 4 whilst we go over a brief history of who those Sims are and what we know about their story. I have already done a video on the Broke family, which I will leave a link to in the white box at the top of the screen now. And I also did a video like this for the Pleasant family as well, so if you'd like to know more about them, you can click on the white box above now to see that video. I'll also leave a link to them in the video description as well. But for now, we're talking about the Dreamer family. So the Dreamer family were introduced in The Sims 2 Pleasant View. The family consists of Darren and his son Dirk Dreamer. When you look at their family tree, you'll see that Darren's wife and Dirk's mother, Darlene, is deceased, along with all of Dirk's grandparents, leaving just the two of them left. The Dreamer family were also featured in The Sims 3 Lucky Palms, where you can see a younger Darren Dreamer on his own, and his wife Darlene McLappin, who lives with her parents. But back to current times, and by that I mean The Sims 2, the latest timeline in the Sims series, we've got Darren and Dirk. So when you start playing as the Dreamer family, you'll notice that they don't have the most money in the world. They start off with less than 1,000 simoleons and have 3 lots of overdue bills. Darren Dreamer is an aspiring artist and Dirk is a high school student who seems to be doing pretty well. Strangely though, in The Sims 3, Darren had at least 20,000 simoleons to his name and was actually somewhat of a celebrity back in the day. So at some point between then and now, his financial situation got worse and his fame faded away. That's what getting a wife does for you, am I right? Speaking of wives, Darren's wife, Darlene, she died in a fire. However, Darren does not have any memory of this, suggesting that he wasn't present when she died. In terms of his current love life, Darren is single. Although he is secretly in love with his neighbour Cassandra Goth, who is Bella and Mortimer Goth's daughter and is also engaged to Don Lothario, the town's local scumbag. Don Lothario isn't the most faithful sim, and so it's no surprise that he's cheating on Cassandra with multiple women. Darren dislikes Don and views him as an enemy. Funnily enough, Darren's relationship with Don is negative, but Don has no feelings towards Darren. He's just an acquaintance. And although Darren is in love with Cassandra, she isn't in love with him. Usually you can't make relationships one way like this in the game. You might be able to cheat it, but I'm not too sure on that. Just thought it was an interesting thing to note. If, when playing as the Dreamer household, you invite Cassandra over, she may autonomously flirt with Darren, causing her to fall in love with him and cheat on Don with Darren. And then moving on to Dirk Dreamer's love life. So Dirk is in a relationship with Lilith Pleasant, one half of the Pleasant twins. Lilith was a childhood friend of Dirk before love blossomed. Lilith is quite a quirky alternative sim. She doesn't have a good relationship with her family and feels as though she is the less favoured twin over her more conventional sister Angela. Lilith is also not doing too well at school and seems to be getting in quite a lot of trouble, so it seems strange that her and Dirk are a couple, seeing as Dirk is pretty straight edge and seems to be doing quite well. Dirk also does not know Lilith's family and Lilith does not know Dirk's dad, so their relationship looks like it's a secret. Dirk Dreamer actually makes another appearance in The Sims 4 Get Famous. He's a townie 4-star celebrity, although he looks pretty different from himself in The Sims 2. Somehow he changed both his eye and skin colour. And of course, as you'd imagine, he has absolutely no relationship with his girlfriend / ex-girlfriend Lilith Pleasant. Now, here's what I don't understand. I know that The Sims 4 is set on an alternative timeline, but they can at least try to be consistent with ages. Like, Lilith and Dirk are both young adults. Okay, makes sense. However, Cassandra Goth is a teen in The Sims 4. What have you been smoking, EA? 'Cause I want some. You mean to tell me that the very same Cassandra Goth who was an adult in The Sims 2 and old enough to date Dirk's dad in that game is now a teenager and therefore an entire generation younger than Dirk and Lilith, who were teenagers when she was an adult? Where are you getting your crack? Don't get me wrong, I welcome his return to the game, and I'm pleased to see that life has got better for at least one of the Dreamer family members, but geez, this was half-assed. I can see why Simmers get so annoyed with the lore in The Sims 4. And I know it's just a game, but the fact that it was given the name The Sims means that there's an expectation on that game to represent the things that were made to be important in previous games of that franchise. The Sims 2 didn't just have these characters with no backstories. They had families that each had a history. They had storytelling before the player even got into the neighbourhood. They basically held a hand out and beckoned the player to follow them and their stories and play in their households. The Sims 2 was begging for it. So my question is, why do all that just to throw it away? No one but the developers made storytelling important in the beginning. They held those families on a stick in front of their players and said, hey, this is important. We're going to remind you it's important with the thumbnails and the bios and the memories until you follow our story. And then in The Sims 4, they did the opposite and said, oh yeah, so remember that thing we said that was really important? Well, we've sort of given up on that now, so don't be annoyed. So yeah, pissing me off. And that is pretty much it. You know, I wish there was a lot more to say about the Dreamer family, but their history isn't really as rich as the Brokes or the Pleasants or the Goths. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still a prominent family in The Sims 2. You know, they do have family trees. They do have somewhat of a presence in the other games, except The Sims 1. But there just really isn't an awful lot to say about them. You know, I don't want to say they're bland, but they're a little bit bland. So that's the Dreamer family in a nutshell. I did try to make The Sims look as accurate as possible. I don't think I did that great of a job, to be honest, but I think I did okay in terms of the clothing, trying to make them look the same. And in terms of the house, I think I did it fairly like for like. I tried to replicate as much of it as I could. In fact, doing this build helped me discover that there is a dartboard in The Sims 4. Never realised that. I guess I never really thought to look for it. Making these videos has reminded me though of the terrible builds in The Sims 2. I'm not blaming them because hey, it's an old game. But compared to The Sims 4, they do look pretty bad. Putting these houses in Sims 4 neighbourhoods was difficult. They just look so out of place. That's one area where The Sims 4 does come out on top, I think. The build and buy is pretty good. When you look at the things that people have created on the gallery, it's crazy how much you can do. I think with The Sims 4, the build and buy is good enough to be able to recreate most things, like with debug, obviously. But whether they have as much of a prominent storyline as the other families or not, they are still part of The Sims 2 Pleasant View, so they make a spot in the Willow Creek Sims 4 version of The Sims 2. Let me know what you think of my version of them in The Sims 4. Be kind, because I don't think I did too great on this one. And let me know in the comments what you think about all this, about that little rant I went on there with The Sims 2 and The Sims 4. I just think it's such a shame, you know. I don't want to be negative Nancy over here, but I just think it's such a shame. So much could have been done, and they didn't do it. But anyway, I would love to hear in the comments who your favourite family was from The Sims 2. I really like the Goth family, mainly because of the mystery around Bella Goth, but they're not actually my favourite family. My favourite family are the Broke family. And I didn't even realise until I looked into it for the Broke video that I did, how much history there is. So they're my favourite. I'd love to know yours. Let me know in the comments below. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.